I really need to set a proper one up for TacView, but I've got to figure out how to get it to grab the window and nothing else. Trial ends today, I think. It'll be fine. Either way, we'll do some TacViews. Probably won't be a super long stream today as we're awake in time. I might do some DCS after that because everything should be patched up to date by then. Curiously enough, I was just testing some stuff in game. For one thing, they've fixed the reflections on the MiG-29's HUD, so hopefully now I'll be able to fly the thing at night. And also, it seems like my performance in-game has improved very slightly. Now, bear in mind this was in single-player, and I always get higher frames in single-player than multiplayer, but fingers crossed they have actually managed to optimize something. It would be a first, but, you know, a man can dream. And hopefully my chat is actually working on my phone today. I can never tell. The Twitch app's been released on the parking area. So this is been enjoying since, mostly offline, but I do know how to use them now, so that's something. The objective of this mission is for, I think I had Anctus GCIing for me. For the entire duration of the mission. And this is So anyway, this is right towards the start of this mission, I think. I can't remember if I joined this from the mission previous or if I connected partway through. I think this one I was actually present from the start of this mission. So we'll kind of accelerate it here a bit. You can see there's a Vigan going for our boats. He's already got one of the Red Devils guys after him. While I'm doing my thing, we'll flip over and see what Nellis is up to. For some reason my desk mic is working again. I don't expect that situation to last, but I'll try and exploit it while I can. I do need a new mic, I'll have to find one. For a reasonable price. The problem is a lot of the sort of price range that I'm looking at have been literally bought out of stock by people working from home now. So it's probably going to be a little bit of a challenge finding one that isn't going to break the bank. I don't know, Dibbo. I don't know. I must exude some aura that just causes things to stop working. That missile didn't even try. There's the kill. So that clears out the, actually the only thing airborne, it looks like. And close to them. I was trying to kind of box in around behind Kataisi and pop them as they flew out. The problem with this was I didn't realize that I was going to fly right over a Hawk site. I figured they would have air defense there, I just didn't realize how deep into it I was. As I go for these guys, I go up. Targeting the flight lead, it looks like. Couldn't get my missiles off. I think this is the one where I had the missile pylon selector in the wrong position because I forgot to set it on takeoff. So straight up me. So that could have been something beautiful, but it wasn't. On the plus side, I did disrupt their little formation a bit. Over there, I think it's the same guy. And this is where I found my Huey friend. So while he's heading down the valley to drop off his little you can see they're still way up there at altitude, which is not a good idea against MiG-21s. It gives us every advantage we need. We can actually use our radar, we can use the R3R, and we have much better climb performance. So you can see I'm on this guy, he's already defensive. I think he may have lost sight of me there. because he just totally gave me a 6. I was still having trouble with my missiles here. I wasn't getting tone, so you can see a panic burst from the guns there. Got a couple hits on him, 3 hits. And then I realize I've overshot him, so I just start pumping out flares and try and put some distance between us while I figure out why my missiles aren't working. The F5 was in a pretty bad condition. He was trailing about 3 different colors of smoke, so I assumed he was probably going to die from this. But all the same, I was popping out flares just in case he tried to get back on my tail. Now by here, I think I'd figured out my problem. You can see me turning back in for him. There goes the missile, and easy kill. He wasn't really even evading that. On the other hand, his friends have now woken up. So I'm turning back in for one of them, who's separated himself out from the rest of the formation, but I think he gets killed by a Cub. Yep, there it is. Wasn't quick enough on the evasion. And now we go Huey hunting. So, spotting this little guy in this valley was an absolute nightmare. Down he goes. Like I said, this was with Anctus GCIing me, so I did have some idea of what was going on. Didn't see him until he started hovering. Usually that's what gives away a helicopter to me, to me visually, is either if he's high enough up that I can physically see him in the air, or if he starts getting low enough that he kicks up dust. When they're actually flying at a normal altitude, I can't see them. So I flew right over him there. Anctus said you literally just passed right over him. I go over the top, and right about here is where he starts hovering. And I can see the dust come up. So you'll see me fire an R60 at him here, and then take a squirt with the gun. We did land some hits. R60 as well. Now by this point he's already on the ground unloading his tank, so he doesn't really care as long as I don't kill him before he can unload it. So at this point, I'm RTB. I decide I'm going to come back with some air to ground and kill whatever he just dropped. I didn't know it was a tank at this point. I just knew he dropped something there and I wanted to kill it. So we're heading back. There's not a lot of action going on elsewhere on the map. We've got the King in a Vigan flying way out in the middle of nowhere. I'm not sure why he's going that way. The ships are up there. So in we go, quick turnaround, and back off. Second Vigan in the air, they're both going for the ships now. I guess what he was doing was trying to avoid an intercept there by just going way out to sea, which is probably what more of them need to do, especially on the mission I was playing yesterday, Battle over Sukumi, because they get intercepted super easily if they just go straight out. More like TacView, hey Warp. Yeah, I was hoping to do some Cold War and do some dogfights against Sabre while the MiG-15's on free trial, but unfortunately most servers seem to have not updated yet, so just dogfights down, Cold War's down, even Blue Flag's down at the moment. DDCS isn't, but I thought, you know, rather than get stuck into DDCS today, I might as well do this. And then I'll actually play DCS tomorrow. Or perhaps later today, if Just Dogfight comes up, I'll be able to fight Sabre then. I might record it for YouTube or something. So there we go. I'm looking for him now. And by this time, Anctus is also directing some of these other guys around. The tank's kind of hard to see until I spot the dust trail. So you can see I'm looking for him, still looking for him. And right about here, I think, is where I actually spotted him. Now, he realized I was going to try and kill his tank, so he drove it into the tree line and hid. You can't see that on TacView, but he's in the tree line now. I couldn't see the tank, I could only guess where it was going. There was a very narrow sort of gap in the trees where the road ran through, and I figured he would pass through that. I didn't realize he was direct controlling the tank. I threw the top here, looking for a good shot with the Grom. Right here, I got it locked up. There it goes. But as you can see, it does quite a large number of ships there too. So there goes one. There goes another. DDCS just said they had to restart too. Yeah, sounds about right. At this point, I still had some air-to-air missiles left. I think I had a pair of doubles of R60s, so out I go to intercept one of these Vigans on his way home. Very close range head-on shot. I shouldn't have taken that. It was highly unlikely it would hit anything. It's a bad habit of mine, firing R60s that close to somebody. I need to stop doing it. Because it very rarely works. Especially against something as quick as a Vigan. So we've got a bit of an interesting fight happening here. I think Nellis immediately lost sight of him and then reacquired me. The other Vigan appears oblivious. That R60 just didn't quite have the energy it needed. Nellis takes a shot over my shoulder. Looks like he's going to have the better angle. And sure enough, that Vigan is dead. I start coming in on the second, who is now on Nellis's tail. There's that classic MiG-21 turn radius. It looks like a snail shell from above. As my speed bleeds off in a hard turn, my radius gets tighter and tighter. You can actually see there I had a bit of a wobbly. I wing stalled it. Pulled just a little bit too hard there. But recovered it easily enough. The issue with the wing stalls is that you lose about a second or so of turning time right there. See how my flight... Two hits, but he hasn't noticed. It's another burst of gun. Ooh. Shoulder shot from Razor. He actually almost recovered it there. Almost recovered it. So close. So close. That would have been a tree or a building or something right there. He nearly had it. Like, right... Where does he lose the aircraft? Right around here. Right here, if I was him, you release the controls and just don't pull. Because he's doubling down by pulling too hard here, and that's what kills him. He could have just made that pull out if he'd released the controls up at the top of this. Still, solid engagement. And he did make some nice gun hits on that F5. Here comes the Vigan. Let's see how this plays out. Like, he crosses right in front of his nose. If Nellis had rolled out here to the right, he would have had a beautiful missile shot right there. Even a gunshot at that range. Was out in the kitchen and thought you said didn't notice Tehran, which would be hard. Yeah, that would be difficult not to notice. So it looks like Nellis is on the Vigan pretty firmly here. You can clearly see him. The other MiG has doubled back and is joining up. Likewise, the F5's doubling back. There goes the missile. Easy kill. Looks like he's RTB, and now we are seeing Razor, who is going after Dax here. So Razor was on Discord with me. Anctus was GCIing both of us. It's like he's having some trouble picking him up. They are at quite low level, and this is a very heavily built-up area, so I'm not surprised that he was having trouble spotting an F5 amongst this. To deal with, we've got another Vigan coming out here. There, you can see I turned in because I spotted him. And actually, that put me on a beautiful fucking stern conversion on him. Like, beautiful. Perfect shot right there. There goes the R60. See, that's what you ideally want out of a head-on merge. It's all well and good to do a perfectly neutral one and then just win it the old-fashioned way. But if you can make a slight offset, and this wasn't deliberate, this was actually... That's perfect. Couldn't ask for a better setup right there. Especially for things like the MiG-19, where I'm restricted to all aspect missiles and I'm not confident in a turning battle, that is what I need to do. As much as possible, that's the kind of merge I need. So we've got... of Kutaisi. So you can see I was going for him to begin with, but then my way, because if they hadn't, they would have dragged me directly into Hawk range, and I probably would have died. Again. Maybe a little bit too close for that angle. Oh, that was fucking close to him, though. That was very close to him. 30 feet. Oh well. Turning in on them. I think at this point I was going for the top guy. Yep. But then I've got... Got a bit loose there, you can see the wobble as the wing stalled under me. There goes the missile for him. Hey CJ! Thanks for the raid, man!
Hello, Rabbit Leader. I thought you might come in.
Welcome to the stream, guys. We're going through some TacViews of previous streams because DCS is... well, it's playable, but a bunch of the servers I usually hang out on haven't updated yet, so I'm just waiting for that. I figured I might get through some TacViews on stream while I do wait. So the one we're reviewing here is from the 9th of this month, so a bit over a week ago. So we've now dealt with... What do we got? 2 members of the 3 ship, and we just got the last man here, Drift Maniac. And then both of these guys look like they're going to start chasing me home. I was on fumes at this point. I wasn't sure I'd have enough fuel to make it back to Batumi, and I wasn't sure if we owned Cobaledi yet. Oh, I don't even have the, like the purchased version of this. This is the free version. I don't know what the actual full licensed one includes, but just the free version of TacView is plenty good enough to analyze stuff. With that said, basically, so Flight Simulator, X-Plane, any of them, DCS, BMS, all of them. So, thankfully for me, Vito and Nellis come to get rid of my pursuers, and for some reason Matt 2K here in his Vigan just augers it in. Augers that baby in, as Gurn would say. I don't know what happened here. Must have lost sight. Right here where this F5 reverses under Nellis's nose, that's the kind of thing that gets a MiG-21 killed, because you can't see under you at all. So right there he lost sight of him, And because of the way the MiG-21's cockpit is designed, it's very difficult to regain vision on somebody if they go under you. So you can see he's kind of given his 6 to the guy here. Well, actually, I don't think either of them see each other. It's interesting. Yeah, neither of them know where the other guy is. But while that's been happening, the other 21 back here, Vito, has hooked back in, spotted the F5, because he's quite high up, relatively speaking. I see Vito do this a lot. He needs to get a better sense of where to shoot his missiles, which I do as well, but Vito seems to fire his R60s way too far out. So he's got an F5 turning away from him here, and he's fired at 3 miles. 3.5 miles, actually. There's no way in hell an R60 is making that kind of flight. You can see it's already subsonic, and it hasn't even closed half the distance. His second one is fired at 2.5 miles, and it only gets the hit because the F5's turning into him. So I don't know if he'll ever watch this, but if you do happen to see this video, you need to fire closer, man. Hold those shots until the last second. Huey friend. Oh, this is a different Huey. Oh, that's interesting. So this isn't the guy that dropped the tank off. This is a different one dropping a BMP off next to Coboletti. That's something I had to deal with later. So we've got a fight about to develop here. Just so you guys can see what I'm doing, I'm heading back to Batumi to land with about 3 liters of fuel left in the tank. And here we have a T-72, the same one that Huey dropped off earlier, driving down the valley unopposed. So once I lost sight of him and fired off both my Groms, I think everyone just kind of forgot he existed. And by that point I was too busy doing air-to-air stuff to really worry about him. So he is very slowly driving down that road. The main thing that prevented this from happening earlier is that the guy controlling it kept dropping from the server, Ishikawa. He kept dropping from the server and having to reconnect. If he hadn't had that problem, that probably would have been in our base by now. And it would have caused some bad problems. So here we have another fight developing. We got 3 F5s in kind of a, not really even a formation. This is part of Blue Team's problem. They tend to come out not as a group, they'll come out in singles. So these guys aren't close enough really to support each other. And then they wonder why they get knocked down so easily by all our GCI'd MiGs. So we're into the merge here with Vito. Gets a quick missile off it, just gets absolutely bamboozled by those flares. It sees them and just nopes out completely. But at the same time, Nellis has got 2 shots off. Oh my god, this F5! Who is this? Pseudo Sapiens, look at this man, go! Holy shit, okay, so here we go. One's decoyed off by the flares. In a fucking rolling scissors with one of these missiles. What the fuck? Look at this. It's coming right up behind him. Apparently they buffed the flight model again. Apparently stalling isn't a factor anymore. Oh god, I'll have to test that out later. Oof! Finally he gets got by probably one of their last missiles there. That was insane. I've seen some lucky F5s, but that man, Jesus. Vito chasing after something with his guns, which is actually a good thing for his 2 surviving teammates because it means they're now dealing with 1 MiG-21 while Vito's busy trying to gun a pilotless aircraft. And still trying. That also drags Vito straight towards Matt in his Viggen. Everyone's having a bit of trouble spotting each other here. There goes a missile from the Vigan. Ooh. That was a nice dodge. Right there, he just fucking rips the stick into his lap and says, "Nope, you're not hitting me with that." Beautiful. And that, if he'd actually held that turn, that might have put him on the tail of Squeak. But he probably didn't quite see him. And we got a bit loose there, a bit wobbly. It almost looks like the F5 is trying to get on the Vigan's tail. Which is odd, because the Vigan is like the most visually distinctive aircraft in the game. It's a giant flying Christmas tree. I don't know how anyone could fail to IFF one. There we go. Vito is down to guns. Oh, what happened there? Guys, let's just look at this real quick. What? Did he over-G the aircraft? What did he do there? Oh, yes he did. Yes he did. 14.2 G. Vito is bearing down on Squeak here. The other 21 nailed that thing all the way to Coboletti. So it took him a fair while to do that. There's the kill. Interesting though. I don't think Vito actually... TacView doesn't say that Vito hit him, but it looks like that should have hit him. But there... Oh, what's this? It's happened again. The zombie F5 is strong in this one. Look at that. He's just been killed according to TacView, which means he's killed according to DCS. So you won't get AWACS callouts for a dead aircraft, right? And he's got an AIM-9 off on the MiG-19. Now, it's not going to hit. It's way too close. But look at that. Vito's still trying to gun him. So, Vito loses sight here, I think. Nellis just doesn't have the turning room. Oh no, he's trying to kill the zombie F5. Okay, so he's going for Squeak, who's a zombie at this point. Gets the kill on the zombie. Both MiG-21s have lost sight here, but Nellis goes back in, must have got a call out. Loses sight again. And they re-merge here. Razor's trying to deal with the Huey. Like I said, R60s almost never track Hueys. Almost never. Oh, Jesus. Oh! What did he just pull there? Only 9G. Oh, no, 10.6, 11. 11G, not bad. Respectable. So it's a swing and a miss on the Huey. We've now got Razor in the mix as well. Looks like Vito's totally lost sight of everything and is going somewhere. I don't know where. I'm not sure what Nellis is doing. It's like he's strafing our own airfield defenses, thinking they're enemy. I'm not sure. Razor has lost awareness of the F5 here, I think. Again, the F5 pilot habit. That's way too close. That would never make that turn. Oh, Jesus. Big wobble there as Razor gets a bit loose. Gets hit with the guns. And I think that'll probably be the end of him. Looks like he's struggling to hold the aircraft up. Oh, he's still flying. Nellis is having 99 problems trying to spot anything at this point. Looks like he's back in on the Huey. He's target fixated on that guy. There's some hits. Shilkers are starting to open up on him too. Razor's having a bit of trouble. He's getting a bit greedy here on the stick and he's pulling too hard. Like, you can see the really vicious wing stalls he's getting. He's just pulling too hard on the stick. He needs to chill out a little bit with that. He's got the right idea, he's just getting carried away with it. And the F5, interestingly enough, ends up in the floor. What happened there? Stall, I guess. I think he still had fuel, he must have just stalled it. So you can now see the T-72 is getting quite close to Batumi. And the BMP is also not too far from Coboletti. Where am I in all this? I think I'm still on the ground rearming, or I've just taken off. So I come in to help out there, but I'm not needed anymore. And we end up with, again, 3 F5s in front. Drift Maniac, our old friend, is the nearest. So in I go for an intercept on him. The others, one of them turned away from me. One's kind of still continuing along on a straight course. That was not a well-timed shot. I was too close, the angle was too sharp. That was not going to make that turn. It almost... If that was an R73, that might have reacquired him. That almost reacquired him. It didn't have the energy to do anything about it, though. Again, too close. It just didn't make the turn. He pulled really hard there as well, to be fair. That was like a 10G pull. So you can see me starting to try and dump speed to avoid overshooting. F5 starts a reversal into a scissors, which is not a bad decision. But it looks like he's having some control issues. Like, he's really uncoordinated, which is weird in the F5 because it coordinates your controls for you. And you can see he's kind of just... He's trying to force the scissors, but he's not able to do it. And there we go. Finally I get an R60 on the guy. We've now got a 2-ship of Havoc and Redbird. Kind of scattered F5s here. Blue team don't seem to communicate very well. They're always very widely spread out and they don't really mutually support each other. So here we go. Going into a merge with one head-on and one turning cold. This guy almost pulls a Syrian lead turn. He turns in before we actually merge, and it just, yeah, it gives me a 6 right away. I'm not sure he saw me or what, but, like, he's just given up the advantage right there. Now, I'm flaring because I know there's another F5 somewhere near me. I don't want to get popped by a surprise A9. You've got to be aware of when there is another enemy nearby because they will try and support their teammates if they see a fight happening. This guy apparently doesn't see it, or he's just not close enough to intervene. And then old mate over here is way out of range to do anything about it. There goes an R60. Again, it's a bit close, and the F5 just rips his stick back. We go for the guns instead, get a solid hit. Oh, I remember this. I thought he was dead at this point, so I broke off of him to engage the other F5. He looked like he'd been hit quite badly. He was trailing a lot of smoke, leaking fuel and so on. I thought he was probably going to go into the ground, or at least RTB. I was wrong, because I turn off to find the other guys, and before I know it, bam, AIM-9 right up the tailpipe. He does eventually lose it. I think he probably... I don't know. He looked like he was going to lose it there. Meanwhile, there's another fight going on here. So, actually, one of my missiles is still going. Razor over here has 2 F5s turning in. He gets popped by the lead, which is Terran. Now these two are coming into this fight. So there's now 5 F5s in the area against 2 MiG-21s. Let's see what happens here. A team kill is what happens here. Nice. So, Rhinosaur... Was that a hit? No, that was at my wreckage, mate. What's he shooting at? What the fuck is he shooting at? No, he is shooting at Squeak. So he... Is he? I don't know. I'm bamboo... Oh no, he's shooting at my wreckage. So my aircraft is flying with a dead pilot. Okay, I get it now. And right around there, Squeak has something fall off his airframe, which is usually not a good thing. The F5s end up all mixed in. A bunch of them start turning onto each other's tails here. Which really gives these MiG-21s what they need. Oop. Oh shit. I broke it, chat. I broke it. Who are we looking for? Oh no. It's all gone horribly wrong. No, not him. Who was I watching? One of the... Not Nellis. One of these guys. Redbird. Havoc, there we go. Which keybind is set AWACS to me only on the comms, right shift M. But it only works on the Flaming Cliffs 3 aircraft. On the full fidelity stuff, you're stuck getting spammed. So yeah, these F5s are all turning in on each other's tails. They don't know where the MiGs are. And that gives a perfect tail shot here. And more there, but he also could have had a perfect shot on him. He had the range for it there. I guess his attention gets drawn by the guy turning across his nose. He gets a kill. No, he gets a hit on him. So Rhinosaur cops a hit. He's still flying though. R60 problems. Let's debris off somebody. Let's debris off him. Someone ejected there. Who was that? That was Ranky. So that's Ranky's pilot that just popped out above Denmore. Both MiGs turned back in on Terran and Rhinosaur. There goes the second missile, and that's a kill. Terran and Redbird are almost flying formation and don't realize it, apparently. Oh, just too close for that. It was a cheeky shot, but it didn't quite have the turn radius. Now Redbird's in a world of hurt. Oh. 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 Let's see how narrow that miss was. Oh, it was still 300 feet. It's not too bad. There we go. That is the end of Denmore. As Redbird has an F5 furiously trying to gun him. Oh my god, he's drawing his outline in shells, but he's not even hitting him. He's not even hitting him. Who is that? That's Terran. How is he missing those? He's right on him. And then the reversal. Oh my god, chat. The reversal. Look at this. Did a couple of precious seconds there trying to get the nose round on him. That's going to be Redbird's undoing there, by the looks of it. Yeah, he can't sustain it. He's had to break off. He very nearly maneuver killed himself there. And he's given the advantage back to Terran, who I don't know has anything left to shoot at him with. We'll go back and watch the other half of this fight in a second, but... yeah, I don't know that Terran's going to really have much left in him. He just held down the trigger before. Oh, there we go. Nowhere near. Absolutely nowhere near. Oh my god. This is getting proper spicy, boys. Proper spicy. So let's go over to the other half of this fight. We've got Havoc and... who's the F5? Squeak. So he lands a hit there. Good man, goes high to avoid the overshoot. Has a bit of a wobble. Down he comes on him. Beautiful positioning, but he's just... again, he's getting too greedy on the stick. He's losing himself time here, and time is positioning in this kind of close quarters stuff. Swing and a miss there. So the F5's kind of... like, he's almost forced him out in front, but not enough to do anything with it. Nice, he's kind of forced him back out in front. You can see, I'm not sure if he's deliberately stalling here to, you know, bleed off speed and get behind the F5, or if he's just getting clumsy. It tends to be a bit of both in the MiG-21. You know, sometimes you mean to stall, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't, and it works out really well. Just that kind of plane. I haven't played any multiplayer since the patch, Pixie, because all my usual servers are down. But I have got a few things I want to test later, which I probably won't do on stream, but some things to check. So here we go, we got another F5 come screaming in with his guns, right as our man here lands a few hits. Who is that? It's Graf Zorn. Another few hits there. Who even was that? That was... okay, so that was Havoc landing some hits on Squeak. 6 hits. We've got a missile coming in. Hawks coming in here for Havoc. He drives them into the ground. Drives one of them into the ground, 2 of them. But he's back out in front of the F5. Narrowly... oh wow. Narrowly misses with the AIM-9, but it fuses... in front of him? ...196 feet. It fuses when it's like 200 feet away from him. TacView actually used the DCS map so we could see the buildings and trees and stuff. It would probably help a lot. You know, even as a thing you could turn on and off. So... it takes a massive squirt at him there and misses. We got a very long range attempt at a shot here from desperately trying to get guns on our man here. We've got an R60 coming off of Redbird. Don't know who that radius is enormous. The 21 cuts inside easily without even really having to pull too hard. He does lose it there. He gets a bit wobbly. Curiously, Terran has broken off of Redbird. I don't know why. Matt 2K's switched teams and is about to join this clusterfuck as well. So there we go. Just trying to get him into a roll. It's not working. Forces the scissors, not bad. But he's still, like... right here, Zorn should have reversed into him. Because he's just set him up. There we go. There's the reversal. It's a bit late. Narrowly avoids the ground there. Jesus, 33 degrees AOA. We got 2 MiGs chasing each other. And Zorn's in the middle of this mess. Gets a missile away. on Matt 2K, who has just kind of flown into this without a clue what's going on by the looks of it. Meanwhile, we've got the MiG-19 over there. We've got a Viggen in space, relatively speaking. Havoc's trying for the snapshot there, he just doesn't quite get the timing right. Zorn's pulling in on Redbird. Now the MiG-19's in the mix as well. This is wild. Like, I didn't know any... Like, I knew there were fights going on. I didn't realize just how insane they were. Wow, there goes a missile. Way too close, though. Let's, flip over here. Way too close. What, 1,700 feet? Yeah, that's not going to work. Not against the MiG-21. Tries for a gunshot there, doesn't get it. Looks like he may have lost sight. I don't know if he deliberately disengaged there, or if he just lost SA, but he's tried to get out of that. Ended up in a head-on merge with one of the other F5s. Here comes Acid Mind as well. 190,000 feet? Good lord. So here I come, we'll flip back to my perspective now. There is an absolute clusterfuck of aircraft in this area right now. So this is the, this ridge line here is the kind of boundary of where I wanted to go. I knew that they had air defense on the other side of this, so I was trying to draw blue team as much as possible into this little valley here. This is where I was trying to get all my work done. So head on with this guy, the 19's in on him too. Didn't quite get the merge setup I was looking for, but I managed to require him here and pull in behind him for a shot. There we go, there's the kill, nice and easy. Looks like he's being dealt with. Iceman! Iceman, what are you doing? You crazy man, 10G. Just look at that turn. And the massive wing rock as he loses the aircraft. Looks like he recovered it though. The MiG-19's kind of in a bad spot here. Gets splashed by Drift Maniac. Both Iceman and myself are now on him. We've got Domestos coming in as well. Iceman makes a kill. There's another pair coming in from the east there, and then another pair coming in from the northeast. Then another 2 airborne here. So you can see I'm trying to stay south of this ridgeline just because I don't want to get into the Hawk range. Denmore takes a shot at me, I think. I think that was at me and it just didn't track because it was too far off. I don't know. It's hard to tell. It just missed between me and Iceman. He gets splashed by Acid Mind. Domestos is dragging one of them back over Kutaisi, and you can see the Hawks are already out on him. Meanwhile, I turn in on Vapor here. And, is that Iceman loses it into a hillside somehow? Just straight and level into it? I don't know what happened there. That was way too close. That shot would never have made it. I made a lot of shots like that in this session. I've been doing it a lot recently. I need to get my trigger discipline in order a bit when it comes to the R60s. So that was a real Hail Mary of a snapshot there. Didn't hit him, but it did force him into a scissors here. And you can see the rounds from that flew right over the, well, quite a ways over the head of Rhinosaur, who is now joining this mess. I tried for another snap there, it just wasn't quite happening. See, I was getting wobbly, I lost control a bit. This is where I realized I had someone on my tail shooting at me. But I decided to stick with my target. He did actually get a glancing hit on me there. Still on. And then we've got Rhinosaur to deal with on my tail. I lost sight of him here for a bit. So I'm just turning, looking for him. And then he spots me and we're kind of two-circling offset slightly. We've got a friendly come blazing in. Cold Viper. I think Cold Viper may have actually distracted him there, which then kind of resets the fight almost. We end up in a kind of scissors, not quite. See me trying to gun him there and just not quite having the angle. Cold Viper takes a gunshot too, misses. It's getting very slow here. Very slow, very low. He tries to force the overshoot. You can see me just trying to stay behind him, or at least level with him where he can't get a shot. I'm just trying to deny him any sort of options here. And right here, perfect chance for an R60, and that finishes that fight. Meanwhile, Acid Mind is up chasing a Viggen over the enemy Hawk sites, which is interesting. 2 Viggens are there. He's got an F5 on him. He splashes one, actually, right over Kataisi. Hawks everywhere. Chaparrals as well. Let's actually watch that. That looks pretty interesting. So the Viggens start going defensive here, it looks like. He gets the right-hand guy. The left one's dragging him way up. He probably is trying to drag him up for the Hawks. But he gets splashed too. Well, not splashed, but he gets hit. Acid Mind manages to juke all of those Hawks. Yeah, that's a splash. Down goes the Viggen, out of control. And Acid Mind gets away with that. Oh, wow. Wow, that was dirty. And he passes a Pivads and gets away with that too. The luck of the Irish here on Acid Mind. So at this point, I'm RTB. It's like Cold Viper's about to get into a spot of bother here with Drift Maniac and Squeak. And he ends up giving his tail to Squeak, chasing chasing Drift Maniac, sorry. And there he goes. Now, I should point out at this stage that the BMP that was dropped off is still a fair ways out from Coboletti, slowly moving there. So you can see it heading that way, but you can also see the T-72 over here, just driving down the mountain road straight towards Batumi, as we have a beautiful 4-ship takeoff of MiG-21s as I come into land. So you can see me doing my little show-off routine there, and right over the T-72. I'm surprised he didn't try and, you know, cheekily machine gun me. I guess he's trying to be sneaky. Yeah, I'll have to test that out and see what it can do now. I am curious. So there we go. That's my landing. We've got that fight happening over there. So let's see. That's Cold Viper getting splashed. Now we have, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. It looks like Gaelic. We have this guy coming in. Oh, narrow miss. Very narrow miss there on Drift Maniac. He goes for the guns, overshoots. Loses control there, gets very loose. He's lucky he didn't get popped in that head-on. He's not in a good situation here. He's got 3 F5s all over him and he's struggling to control his aircraft. Right there, gets the old 1-2 punch from Graf Zorn and from Drift Maniac. Now we've got a 3-ship coming in. It's baited easily. Hook, line, and sinker right there. He sees Domestos out in front, turns in, and right across the nose of 3 other MiGs. This is where they start splitting off, so... Pseudo Sapiens comes in here and catches the trailing man, Redbird. Redbird kind of gets a bit wobbly there. Keeps our friend here busy until his wingman can come and shoot the tail off. Sure what happened here. Steelmaster. No, it's not Steelmaster. What? I don't know what happened there. Oh, I think I do. I think he was trying to gun down a zombie F5 and he flew into him. That's what that looks like. So meanwhile, we got Matt 2K up here. Ends up in a fight with 2 F5s. Rhinosaur and Denmore. Not a good merge for him. He's lucky that Rhinosaur didn't see him there because he just gave him his 6 totally. Doesn't see Rhinosaur, he does see Denmore, then he loses him. So this is just a mess. Nobody here knows what's going on. Nobody has a clue what is up in this fight. He eventually gets splashed. Now we've got Nellis coming in. Gets a nice close range shot there on Rhinosaur. See, that's what an R60 can do when you've got a good setup. It'll make a really sharp turn. I was just shooting them too close a lot. Hey, Josh. Ooh. Another nice R60 there. So he cleans that fight up quite nicely. We've got another merge happening here. Oh, what? Okay, those are all missiles. We've got Redbird getting hit by Hawks. Let's see what Steelmaster's up to. So, Redbird and Squeak pass each other directly. Steelmaster gets popped by Squeak, probably didn't even realize he was there. Cold Viper ends up trying to engage him. Not entirely sure what's going on with Redbird over there. It almost looks like he's trying to kill their AWACS, which is interesting. I'm back in the fight at this point. So I don't want to go up by the Hawk sites. You can see Acid Mind is a bit braver. He's already had one lucky encounter with their air defense. I probably could have gone out and supported him there, but it was just a bit risky. for my mind. You can see I'm doing it here. It took me a while. Right here. That shot was too far. 2.5 miles on a turning target. Again, too far. I'm just wasting R60s here. I didn't realize how fast this guy was moving. And at this point, I finally get one away that's within range and hit him. And see, Domestus is playing bait for all their air defense there. At this point, I get a call out for this guy and I decide to head north to intercept him. I didn't realize how close I was, though, to a lot of these Hawks. And as you can see, they're already firing at me. So I go for the merge with Drift Maniac again. But as soon as I pull up, I take a Hawk there, I take another Hawk there, and I'm dead. Alpha Milan comes in to the exact area I was just splashed and suffers the exact same fate. Now we got Acid Mind trying his luck yet again. Like I said, this man had the luck of the Irish. Gets a nice shot there on that Vigan. Flies right through all their air defense. Gets the Pivads to hit each other. Unreal. Oh, he finally loses it here. I almost wonder if he was out of fuel. Or if he just bit off more than he could chew and flew a bit too low, hit a tree. But he was so lucky with all of those SAMs out on him. So we got Cold Viper kind of hanging around Coboletti now. You can see that BMP's basically on the airbase. He ends up in a merge with Drift Maniac, who ends up kind of, sort of... Oh, that's interesting. They're taking it in turns to lose sight of each other, apparently. Goes for the gun kill, can't quite get it. He's pretty firmly on this guy's tail, he just can't get the shots. And there we go, now he's overshot and given his 6 to Drift Maniac, who can't quite get the turn radius he needs to get his guns on a MiG-21. Second F5, Squeak comes into the engagement, overshoots completely. It's a decent angle back in, but... Oh, there we go. There's some hits, finally. Third F5 now in the mix. He finally gets a missile off. Doesn't quite connect, though. Jesus, what a mess. What an absolute mess. Now a second MiG in the fight. It's Acid Mine, back for more. Acid Mine just blows straight through and goes over the top. Takes a couple more hits there. In comes Acid Mine for the guns kill, misses it, but he forces one of the F5s to break off defensively. Oh! Oh, he actually causes Drift Maniac to eject. That's interesting. I wonder if maybe he did hit him, or if Drift Maniac was out of fuel or something, perhaps? Or just lost control of the aircraft? So you can see here, actually forces the overshoot from Squeak. Then comes in for a landing at Coboletti. Is already getting shot at by the BMP. crazy. Look at this! Look at this shit! Jesus, I was missing out on some prime stuff while I was trying to deal with that T-72. They're in a rolling scissors over the airbase as it's being attacked by a BMP. Oof! Right there. Sneaky aim 9 from Terran. So both F5s decide they don't want any of that. Oh, Squeak loses it here. Oh, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Terran, my man, what are you doing? That is the end of Squeak. So anyway, let's do some rewinding, because I got a whole bunch of other shit I want to spectate down this away. So here we go. We have a whole bunch of MiG-21s starting up down at Batumi. We have a T-72 slowly driving his way in. He's looking for the gate to get into the airbase here, which is funny. Oh, he lags out there. This guy, as well as doing the cheeky with the ground units, he was also extremely laggy. He kept losing connection. So you can see he's desynced really badly there. What the fuck? He fired an ATGM at Steelmaster as he was on taxi, on the taxiway to take off. Oh, that's cheeky. That is cheeky. He's still all over the... I don't know if he's actually warping. He's probably just driving. It just looks funny because it's a tank. And the combined arms units seem to have, like, really weird ground handling. Or was he lagging it? I don't know. So yeah, he hits Steelmaster, who despawns because his aircraft's broken. Redbird, or sorry, Havoc gets away safely. This is where the JTAF guys thought that Anctus was trolling them, trying to team kill. Yeah, he was disconnecting constantly. That's the only reason it took him so long to get the tank into our base. So here we can see Havoc is wise to what's going on and comes in for a strafing run on a tank. That's, you know, not going to be the most effective thing in the world. But at least he knows what the problem is. That's me spawning in. He drives back into the base, another strafing. This is what I heard. So I heard someone firing a gun and thought we were being team killed by someone strafing us. Because he's outside defense at this point, outside the perimeter fence. I can't see him. I only see, you know, explosions, or hear explosions and see a MiG-21 diving. Now at this point, he rolls right in through the gate, drives past me, and I'm like, oh, that's what the problem is. Machine guns Steelmaster behind me, who ejects, then he machine guns me as I start trying to taxi away. So I'm trying to get away from him here, and at this point it's just like, it's not going to happen. So I switch over to spawn in at Sakumi. So you can see if I can take a strafing run at him, but again, strafing isn't going to do much to a T-72. So he's having himself a grand old time driving around flattening people on the airport here. Mega Cats, thanks for the follow. 7:46:34. Yeah, but the timestamp... Oh, will it? correspond to this? 746, 34. Oh! Oh! Yeah. Shit, hang on. Hang on. We'll just look and see. I can't see where that's coming from. Oh, right there, right there. It exploded. Oh, it's just shrapnel. So it self-destructed right above one of the other Hawks. That's what that was. Anyway, so he's having himself a grand old time down at Batumi here. You know, killing people as they take off and land, all the fun stuff. Now, I'd already taken off with some Groms with the intention of dealing with him. But, you can see we got some helicopters trying to do the deed here. Also, I over-G'd and lost my Groms, which didn't help. Because I did intercept a Vigan on the way, and forgot that the Groms have a very strict G limit. So he's still killing shit. You can see the MI8 circling around, just trying to do something, anything. It's not really helping. What the fuck? What the fuck? What? Was that a negligent discharge? Was he trying to kill the MI8? What? What the fuck was that? Yeah, this is where the Car 50 comes in, but what the fuck was that fucking missile? Like, what was he aiming at? Tank ends up killing one of our SAMs. There's the kill on the tank right there. So the base is finally safe now, at last. So I'm gonna wind the clock back a bit, and we'll go spectate me, if I can find myself. Right there. So I've just taken off from Sukumi. I'm gonna try and kill the tank with a Grom, but I've been vectored onto a Vigan first. Get in nice and close. I think where I over-G'd the Groms was on the pullout from after killing this guy. Because I was struggling to get the speed I needed to catch the Vigan with the Groms on. And then right here, yeah, 6.7 G would do it. Right there, that's where I over-G'd them, and you can see them come flying off. And I got to about here before I realized I no longer had Groms. So I decided to abort that mission since he got dealt with anyway. And this is where I turn inland. So this is, I think, roughly where we were at before. Yep, there's the team kill over here on the F5s. We've got an MI8 coming up the coast to probably try and drop some units off around Cobaleti and recap that. There's another kill there I saw. So the MiG-19 is on an F5 there, on El Zorro. Right, here we go. Here comes the head-on merge with Terran. They've lost sight of me. I lost sight of him. Back up and over. Yeah, I must have lost sight of him there against the ground. Instead, I get the Vigan. So, turn in on him. Lose sight there as well. Oh, nearly caused a team kill from Dynamite. It was a very long shot. There was pretty much no hope of that aim 9 ever hitting me. I think he actually did shoot at the Vigan there almost. So, I'm not quite sure what's going on at this point. I'm a bit tumbleweed. You can see the BMP down there killing all our ground units. This is why everything was on fire at Coppoletti, because this guy was just driving around murdering everything. So in we come for the remerge. Past the Vigan. I'm on this guy. I'm on Terran. So, oh, no. No, I'm not. I'm on the Vigan. That must have been what I was looking at. Over the top I go. I'm lucky these F5s kept losing side of me as well. Catch you later, Josh. Right. There's a... Too close. That's what that was. Too close. Too steep of an angle. Didn't really try and make the turn. Right there, though, that is a beautiful shot. That's the end of the Vigan. He did keep flying briefly, but he ended up going into the ground, I believe. And you can see I've now turned in on Dynamite. Yep, there goes the Vigan. He's just punched out. There goes Dynamite. He's dead. Terran has lost... Totally lost situation. Making a landing approach here at Coppoletti, but I've got to do something about this BMP. Thankfully, I spot it at the last moment. So make a quick lineup on him, and with nothing left but the gun with air-to-air rounds loaded, bear that in mind, I managed to kill him, very narrowly avoid hitting both him and the ground. And then I come in for a landing here, but I just didn't give myself enough space. So, like, there's no way I'd be able to make that landing. I'm way too high, so I do a bit of a go-round. And at this point, I lose the engines. Oh, no, sorry, I don't. That's right, I get fucking team killed. Because, our buddy here doesn't realize that I'm a MiG-21, and he pops me right as I'm about to land. Now, with no engine and the aircraft in a bad way, I do manage to belly land it alongside the runway. Nice and safe. And Coppoletti has been saved. There's no units left there except for a pair of Shilkers, but other than that, it's been saved. Looks like these two F5s are getting into a bit of a dogfight with each other. I think they're trying to find the helicopter. Yeah, everyone here is a bit discombobulated, I think. There we go. A bit too close for that shot, but Acid Mind has found himself on the tail of Squeak. Got a bit wobbly there. And now Drift Maniac's on his tail. We lost him. Just lost sight of both of them. Here comes Redbird. He takes a very long shot. Very long shot. That's 4 miles nearly on a cold F5. There's no way that's hitting. Catches up with his own missile. Right there. Into the head-on. Just blows straight through. He might not have seen him. Another very long shot. Again, Vito takes his shots way too far out. 5 miles. 5 miles on a fucking F5. No. Just don't. Just don't. It's not gonna happen. That is outside the actual, like, best conditions, maximum range, hot range of the R60. Like, if somebody's flying directly towards you at that range, you won't hit them. And you can see it's already well and truly out of energy before it's even halfway there. He does fire a much closer one and gets a kill though. We end up with a bit of a mess here. Oh no. Oh no, Acid Mind, my man, takes a shot at Vito. Thankfully it misses. I don't think he realizes he's got Squeak rolling up behind him. Deletes Acid Mind. Vito appears to have seen him. As he rolls in behind... Oh my god. Oh. Squeak just had a great time. Rolled in behind 2 MiG-21s unnoticed. Then drags Vito's missile into the floor. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh no. The serial offender. He's just forced me down over Coboletti and he manages to hit Vito as well. Oh no. Oh my boy. You gotta learn to IFF, my son. If you see triangles, it's a MiG. If you see squares, it's an F5. Don't shoot it if you see triangles. This guy out here doing blue team's work for them. Jesus. At least Vito seems to have survived that. Probably not in very good condition, though. Oh, something fell off of him. That was a missile. Where'd that Vigan go? Oh, he just got splashed by Vito. Oh, solid effort, son! After taking a friendly hit, manages to down the Vigan. Here I am. Finally back off the ground. Going out to intercept this guy. At this point, I realize I'm not going to have the fuel to catch him. He's well and truly ahead of me. So I just turn in to refuel and rearm at Sakumi. There we go. There's a couple of groups over here. So these three fly together. The Serbians all fly together. They've got one F5 in the mix. Acid Mind is up high. The other two are actually in a tangle with him. Another F5 coming in. Aim for my head. Very good name. Oh wow, look at that wobble. Right there. Oof. That is some real wobbly boy hours. But he forces an overshoot doing it. Missile is away. Shoot Zorro off his wingman's tail. But aim for my head manages to slip in. Apparently unnoticed. Can't quite get the shot off. There we go. There's the kill. Takes out Ducky. Oh, and there we go. Wobbly Boy stalls it into a tree. Got another Vigan going out to the ships. Got a 19 about to come into a head-on here. Totally oblivious. Just misses the first guy. Must have got a call out for the second or seen him. There go his missiles. Whoopsie daisies. Don't know what happens there with Drift Maniac. I guess he gets too maniacal with his drifting again and loses it into the floor. Sure enough, into the ground. So we got Acid Mind and Bolt. Apparently unaware of this. Oh, okay, so Bolt disconnects. So now it's Acid Mind here. Meanwhile, over here we've got Havoc getting chased by Vapor. There goes Acid Mind. And see these guys just reefing on their sticks when the MiG-21 wobbles like that? That's what's happening. They just pulled the stick into their lap and stalled it. He's managed to get a reversal here. Oh, and he loses it. Immediately loses it. He got a bit too greedy there. And kind of threw away his advantage. I mean, he's got a chance at a shot here. So, that's not all bad, but he's getting too aggressive. If he's not careful, he's either going to go into the ground or the F5 will just work its way back around the circle, which is exactly what's happened. Sure enough, here comes Vapor. Rolling right up behind him. Takes a massive spray and misses every shot. Into a scissors now. Second F5 has joined the fray. It's Zorro, who immediately gets a good position for a missile, and that's the end of that fight. Okay, what else have we got going on over here? We have Redbird and Domestus about to get into some strife against Graf Zorn and Hanelson. I don't know why Redbird is up so high, but clearly Zorn gets a call out for him and decides to come up as well, and then, like, what? What just happened here? Neither of them saw each other, apparently. Oh, that was interesting. They somehow missed each other. So now we end up with Graf Zorn and Domestus, who is also abnormally high up. And a second F5 squeak. Okay, well that was extremely anticlimactic. I thought that was going to be an interesting fight. It wasn't. Let's see what Redbird does now. I'm going to go out on a limb and says, get killed by a pair of F5s he can't see because they're under him. Nope. Loop into the ground is the correct answer, apparently. Oh wow, Shafi was on the server too. I wonder what she was up to. That is the wrong button. I don't even know where she was flying from. Oops. There we go. Oh, I guess she was on for like a split second, then disconnected. So where am I now? Over here. Ah, yes, I remember this. I had the 3 lost puppies following me around. So there we go. They're all chasing the same Vig and I am, but I'm closer. So I get the kill. Easy does it, and they all just turn in and kind of follow me, generally. Another pair of F5s coming out. So we got Squeak on the right, we got Aim for My Head up high. From memory, I think I popped him with R3s. Was I carrying R3s at this point? Nope. R60, there we go. Easy shot, straight down on him. Then straight past Squeak. I don't think I realized he was there. He gets a sneaky on me. We end up with a couple of fights forming here. I might just spectate all of these at once if I can. So we've got Zorro and Kluun, I assume that's pronounced. I think he's one of the Serbs, so I'm assuming that's like a Serbian name. He gets backed up by Daki, who manages to sneak a pretty close range R60 in. Doesn't kill Zoro, but forces him out of that fight. Zoro then aggro's on him. Oh my god, look at that R60. Look at that R60. Oof. That's beautiful. Right there. That is a to whom it may concern right there. That is fucking gorgeous. And that is the end of Squeak. Meanwhile over here, a third F5, Drift Maniac, is on Acid Mind. Misses him with the aim 9. Looks like Zoro couldn't control the aircraft. I don't know what damage he had, but it was clearly too much for him. Spears it in. And now the threesome here is reforming, as Daki manages to land a nice close-range hit on Drift Maniac. Red team works together a hell of a lot better than blue team, I've noticed. You can really see it with this. So here we got Vito, the absolute mad lad, about to do a run-in on Kutaisi itself, just as two Vigans leave it. Turns across the nose of one, gets lucky and it doesn't see him, pulls in behind the second, takes a shot too close, misses, yeets off whatever that was, might have been an empty rack. Hawks are already out, oh sorry, Chaparrals are already out on him, the Hawks probably will be in a second. And he eats a Chaparral, but he does get the R60 off in time. Right as he dies, he gets a final R60 out, which kills the Vigan. Nice. I'm back in the air at this point. Going for an intercept on the survivor of that engagement. I roll right in behind him as close as I can get, and the R60 misses. Apparently the sunlight sparkling on the water was really distracting, because that's really rare for R60s to miss like that. They just didn't even try. There must have been, like, for some reason, the heat signature of the water in front of him must have been enough to distract them. I do get the gun hits there, though, and force him defensive. We end up in a scissors, at which point he repeatedly crosses my nose. That's where the TacView ends. I think I ended up killing him, though. So that was a pretty eventful session. I was pretty happy with that one. Let's see what else we have in here. We can get rid of that. Oh, let's go for the last mission that I did. So, hang on. We'll move that to... You can see how many I've got backlogged. Move that to done. And we'll go back to the new ones. So this is my last stream. This is yesterday's stream. This is going to be a pretty long one. For that reason, I'm mostly going to focus on fights I was involved in. I'm not going to go watch everyone's fights, I don't think. Or if I do, it'll just be, you know, zoomed out rather than watching the fight in detail. So, I spawned in the MiG-19 to start with because I hate myself. I really wanted to make the 19 work, and I figured since I had a GCI, I might be able to do it, but events conspired for that to not happen. Partly me losing my missiles when I didn't think I would. I had a missile that didn't fire when it should have, and then immediately I lost them all because I over-G'd them. And then I had the gun switch in the wrong position, so I had a beautiful snapshot on a Vigan which would have easily killed him as he crossed my gun sight, and nothing came out of the plane. So I immediately just raged out and went back to the 21 after this flight, basically. So you can see I'm getting trailed by another 19 here. It's pretty early in the mission, there's not much airborne yet. And then here we go. We've got a Vigan and an F5, Mithril in the F5, who is one of the better players on the server. So I turn in on Mithril. I can't quite see him until I'm right on top of him. Right here, I try for a missile shot. Right here, I had tone, I held the trigger, nothing happened. And then as I try and follow this turn and slap out the air brakes, you can see the missiles coming off the rails. I lost both of them. I then dumped all my speed. So, like, there was just really no way I was going to be able to follow that turn. I break off, the Vigan pulls in behind the other 19, we got a pair of 21s coming out as well. I do try and come back in on the F5, but it just doesn't work out for me. Thankfully, Acid Mine takes him. And at this point, I get vectored back in on the Vigan, who is now in the middle of a big clusterfuck. Another F5's just joined. Missiles going every which way. Oh, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Hanelson with the team kill on Drug, on Friend. That was indeed a friendly kill. So this is where I'm looking for him. I visually acquire this fight about this point and start turning in on the Vigan, which is an unmistakable shape. They're easy to see. A missile comes up from Ducky and narrowly misses me. Right here, I hold the trigger and nothing comes out of the guns. That would have been a kill. Easily would have been a kill. Of course, I overshoot. I'm now trying to figure out why my guns didn't go bang. And as I'm doing that, the Vigan just rolls in on my tail. He gets popped for his troubles, but he does kill me as well. So I end up respawning in a MiG-21 because I don't want to deal with the MiG-19 at this point. As I've said before, it's not a problem with the module. It's a wonderful module. It's a great aircraft. I'm just personally not good at flying it. So you'll hear me bitch about it and rage out and not play it and stuff like that. Don't take it as a reflection on the module. It's a reflection on me. It's a really, really nice module, and if you are a better disciplined pilot, you'll probably get pretty good use out of it. Here I end up in the snow because my rudder pedals fucking me over, so I had to respawn. There's not a whole lot going on at this point. Most of the airborne threats have been dealt with. So you can see me just kind of tooling around, waiting for something to kill. We do get a Vigan come out here. So I get vectored onto him, but he's pretty far out. He's coming from all the way back at Batumi. That's a hell of a long flight path. So I do turn in for the intercept here, but I miss it. Just can't quite get close enough. And he notices me and just speeds up. At this point, I can't catch him. This is where I start just lobbing R60s at him in the vain hope one of them might have the energy, and you can see this one is just short. Just short. Doesn't quite have it. Right around here, I'm looking at my fuel gauge and starting to bite my nails. So I turn off. I start making for an airfield, but then I realize he's going to take me past Sochi anyway, so I turn back in. At this point as well, Vito's come in for the intercept too. The problem is I just can't get close enough until he starts turning like this. When he starts doing this, it actually gives me a bit of breathing space because he bleeds off a bunch of speed and I can close the distance. I can't close it really enough, but I can close it a bit. Here again, I start looking at my fuel gauge and I realize I don't have the fuel for this. There's already Cubs coming out on him, so I break off to go land. He turns hot on me at this point. So I decide if he's going to try and shoot me down, fuck him. Turn back in. You can see me flaring because I expect an RB-74. That R60 narrowly misses him there. But at this point, I am so low on fuel, I just don't have the option of re-engaging. Thankfully, he gets distracted by the other guys, and he ends up getting slapped by an R60 from Vito. And then a Cub. And I come in for a oily rag landing on the secondary runway here. Like, I had so little fuel, I didn't even want to turn in for a proper approach on the main one. And it's a good thing I didn't, because Hencon was taking off at the same time. So we make the Czech Air Force display routine landing of popping the chute before the wheels are even on the runway. Right there. But with that said, it was a surprisingly smooth landing for that. And you can see the nose bobbing, that's because the parachute has a solid collision model and is colliding with the runway and forcing the nose down. So it wasn't as smooth a landing as it would have been in real life, but yeah, didn't break the plane, it's all good. So that has temporarily removed the threat. You can see Alpen going to capture one of the airfields there. Unfortunately for him, he does get intercepted by Acid Mind, who's now changed teams to blue. A MiG-19 out here. Two MiG-19s, actually. Or sorry, MiG-21 to MiG-19. Reading is hard. So it looks like that F5 was going to go for Alpen. And then he spots these two guys. Goes for the 19 in the merge. Continues straight through. Has second thoughts, but ends up back on the 21. The 21's outpacing him at this point. Swing and a miss, but then he does score the hit there with that aim 9. The 19 is... Oops. The 19 put himself in a flat spin somehow. And there is shit falling off his plane. Actually, that's not even a flat spin, that's just a normal spin. But I guess he couldn't recover it. So he gets zapped. Alpen's now getting strafed. We'll go back to me. Now taxiing to take off again. So at this point we've got another two Vigans coming in, but they don't stick together. One of them breaks off. This is their mistake. If they'd stuck together and both gone for the ships, they probably would have been fine. Hey, Max. So I intercept the guy that's still heading for the boats. Make the kill on him. And then, yeah, the inland guy ends up in a hillside somehow. That's why he vanished. So I now start kind of circling around looking for something to do. There's not really a whole lot. These guys are starting to try and get over and capture this FARP here. I end up in a merge with Lizard Army. Managed to hit him in the face with an R60, but it doesn't kill him. Ditch the racks there, and I start looking for him because I totally lost him in the merge. He already, like, he put quite a bit of distance between us there. He's got Acid Mine buddying up with him there, but he breaks off and turns back for me as Acid Mine gets target fixated on the Car 50 and kills it. I managed to slap Lizard with a second R60. Oh, sorry, no, that was an R3R. My bad. Yeah, that was an R3R, so one of them tracked, one of them didn't. Back I go to rearm and refuel as the MiG-19 and L-39 end up dealing with Acid Mine. So 19 breaks off, he ends up in a fight with the L-39. And somehow bits fall off his plane. They may have collided. I think they collided. That's exactly what happened there. And the L-39 just tanks it. What an absolute Chad. What an absolute fucking Chad. Holy shit. At this point, the 19 and 15 are coming back in, as well as a pair of 21s coming in. Where did they come in from? Over the mountains? He finally gets the L-39. And decides that's enough for him, he's done. He's heading home. So at this point... Oh, Raven was in there. I didn't even notice Raven was in the server. I think at this point I was still on the ground. Maybe not. Oh! Wait, no, hang on. What was I doing at this point? We'll find out in a minute. Anyway, here's Raven in on D-Carrot. No. Looks like he may have had a fuel situation. Here I am. Alright, so that's me coming out of Sakumi. Yeah, I don't know what D-Carrot was doing here. Like, he's nowhere near where the ships actually are. It's like he's looking for something. I don't know, but it didn't do him any favors because there we go. So he fired his RB-04s. I don't know what he fired them at, but he fired them. That wasn't a jettison. He may have been trying to... I don't know. I haven't got a clue. That was what gave away his position to me, though. I saw the missiles, the smoke trails from them. So I roll in behind him. Put an R60 right up his tailpipe. He was still flying on my screen, so I rolled in behind and gave him a good burst with the guns right there, which converted him into a burning fuselage. And then back down this way to look for new targets. Now, Alpen was trying to fly some stuff down the coast to capture Coboletti. The problem is Alpen was high enough that Acid Mind went for him, and I was far enough away that I couldn't really help. These guys were doing something down around the Zuni Farp. I think they were trying to do ground attack over it, but I don't know. So I tried to get in here and help Alpen, but I just wasn't quick enough because I was too far away from dealing with the Viggen. He gets taken out by the F5, by Acid Mind, who wastes 2 Sidewinders and finally hits him with his gun. Now, at this point, Acid Mind was damaged. He was trailing pretty thick black smoke. That's how I visually acquired him. So I turn in to intercept him. I wasn't as close as I thought, and both my R3s immediately run out of energy. They just, like, immediately dump it. One of them nearly looks like it's going to have a chance at hitting, but it just doesn't quite make it. So I turn in behind him. He seems oblivious to me. Like, you can see I I did overshoot there, but I quickly recovered it. Up, over the top, back in, and I slot right back in on his tail. Take a shot there, didn't quite connect. Then, a bit more here. I literally couldn't see him through the smoke coming off his aircraft, so I just said, fuck it, and decided to give him an R60. Which is what happens right there. That's the end of him. Off go the missile rails. And at this point, I picked up this guy, who was one of the MiG-19s. He switched teams. I picked him up on radar and decided, fuck it, we'll go for a guns kill. Which was a bit greedy of me, and, you know, a mistake that got me killed, but whatever. Up we go, into the merge. It's looking pretty good. Pretty good. A couple more turns like this and I'll have him, except, oh, right as I get a bit wobbly and lose myself some precious time right there, In goes a Sidewinder from Ragago. So I just caused a team kill there. Now, I don't see this guy. I am getting callouts for him from Anctus, but I can't see him because he's against the ground. So right about here is where I actually do see him. Like right here as he's turning in on my tail. Unfortunately, Midnight was not a factor in this engagement. He just didn't have the speed, I guess. And so right about here, as I start climbing, Lumber came in as well, or was on the way in. There he is. I realize I've got so many friendlies around me, I decide to go high and bait the F5 up after me, in the hopes someone will put a missile into him. Unfortunately for me, the opposite happens. Somebody, being him, puts a missile into me. I did try and pump some flares expecting that, but if you go back and watch the VOD, the missile was smokeless. 9 P5s should not be smokeless as far as I'm aware, but it was because of the wonderful smoke bug. So I didn't see that missile until it was right about there and just about to hit me. So there was nothing I could do to avoid it. Thankfully, Vito does get a pair of fairly long-range R60s in and gets the kill. So he gets dealt with. And at this point, this is where I respawn in the MiG-29, realizing that we've unlocked it. Let's see what Lumber does while I'm spawning that thing in. I think he ended up getting into a merge and he got popped by a SAM or something here. So he kills Acid Mind. Or was it the second MiG-29 flight? It might have been the second MiG-29 flight where Lumber joined me. Hang on. Did I do one more? Try and remember. No, I did one more MiG-21 flight, that's right. My bad. Imagine having such a bad short-term memory you can't even remember yesterday. So there we go. I'm back in the MiG-21. This guy was a nightmare to pick up, edge of ledge. I saw him, I lost him, I saw him, I lost him. It was just a pain, and I kept stalling. I kept potatoing out, so I was getting pretty frustrated at this point. I saw him there. I was too close for a shot, so I decided to take it on the remerge, or, you know, just get on his tail, which, if he'd continued the left-hand turn, and usually people do, I would have picked him up and killed him. I lost sight of him. I regained, well, I don't think I regained it. I think I was told where he was. I just for a moment regained him and then lost him against the mountains again. So you can see I'm really, like, struggling to figure out where this guy actually is to get a shot on him. He tried to gun me there. Again, I keep losing him against the ground. I keep nearly stalling myself into the ground. I'm getting really frustrated by this point. Can't see him at all. And once he's over the next valley, like, I have no real hope of picking him back up. So I ended up distracted by this friendly who was flying up in the cons. I couldn't pick him up on radar until, like, right here is where I finally got him on radar and managed to IFF him and realized he was friendly. So I'm turning back in. In the meantime, Lumber is engaging my target here. Or trying to. He actually goes in and strafes some of our SA6s, some of our Cubs, and one of the supply trucks. So Lumber kills him here, I think. Yep, pulls in. Does overshoot, but recovers from it nicely. And straight back down on him. Gets some good gun hits, and that's a kill. So yeah, this is the point where I respawn the MiG-29, and so does Lumber. So here we are, all the way up at Mycop. We've got a long ferry flight to get to the action. Nice and high over the mountains to try and maximize our range. The MiG-29 has no fuel economy to speak of whatsoever at low altitude. So we've got to be up nice and high. And at this point, Alpen's getting a bit heated because he keeps getting intercepted every time he tries to deal with this FARP at Zuni. He does actually have a pair of MiG-15s with him, but I guess they were trying to do ground attack. They weren't really dealing with the F-5s. So Lumber and I come in. It's like one of the MiGs ended up in the floor there, trying to strafe something. And then right here I shoot the, FBR, the F5, off of Lumber's, not Lumber's tail, off of Alpen's tail with an R60. Right there. That's the end of him. The second R60 actually cuts across Alpen's nose. That was kind of dangerous. So all through this, I was kind of not having much luck with the R60s, especially on the MiG-29. I don't think there's any difference between the R60 on the 29 and the R60 on the 21. I think it's mostly just because I was launching at different speeds than I usually do. But it didn't seem to turn as well, and it seemed to not do as much damage. Now, what I suspect is it might have been fusing near enemy aircraft rather than on them. So maybe they were just getting splash damage slightly rather than actually physically blown up. But some of these guys took 2 and 3 R60 hits to kill. Which is frustrating, to say the least. Lumber's RTB for fuel at this point. I told him go back for fuel, we'll kind of take it in turns. There's a Huey all the way out here, who I decided to go for. God knows why there's a Huey out here, but there is. First R60 just puts itself straight into the water. I go up and over the top, thinking maybe if I drop on him vertically, I'll have a better shot. Nope. It misses. Apparently it does some mild damage to him, but it doesn't actually kill him. Come back around for another. I couldn't see him at this point. I kept losing sight of him against the water. I'm almost head-on with him here. I'm glad it was a Huey and not a fucking Mistral. That comes later. So again, I'm just trying to reacquire him. I'm in vertical scan at this point, trying to pick this guy up, because I physically cannot see him. And I think at this point, AWACS stopped giving us calls. Or it might have been a bit later. Anyway, there goes another 2 R60s. I think surely these will hit. Well, apparently they splash him, but they don't kill him. And I finally get really frustrated and just go, you know what, fuck it. Go to the gun, and sure enough, that's what actually kills him. I just take him apart with a 30mm. Should have done that to start with. At this point, I'm pretty low on fuel, so I start heading back to land at Sukumi. In we go. And Lumber's already back off the ground. Alpen's coming back from his little ground attack run. Let's see what Lumber's doing. Oh, this is where Lumber decided to do some work killing ground units at Sanaki, and I joined in as well. So I brought some S8s and some KMGUs, and I think I killed like a grand total of 6 ground units with them, which wasn't a whole lot. So yeah, he's going for some attack runs here, which looked pretty impressive from my perspective. Should see me come in any minute now. Now, I'm not sure what was up with these Chaparrals and Vulcans, but none of them were shooting at us. It's like they were set to passive for some reason. There's the MiG-15s going back to the FARP there for whatever reason, even though we already owned it at that point. So there I go, fight off a couple rockets, come back in. That was the KMGU run. I was gonna gun the last truck. Or actually it was a Vulcan, it was a Pivads. I was gonna gun it, but Lumber got it first with an S8. So I start looking for something else to kill. As it turns out, there's not really anything else to kill. I saw some trucks lined up, which I think were just airport scenery, not actual... Well, they're not actual units because they're not shown on TacView, but I did see some trucks lined up, so I just spent the rest of my rockets on them. Then decided to go looking for trouble, because I still had 2 R60s on board. This is where the Gazelles come in. So, Lumber merges with them, comes back down, and lands a couple of hits. What I think happened there, I saw this, was he fired an R60 in the dive, right there, and it hit under the Gazelle and fragged him slightly, but it didn't kill him. I know, right? Nothing insane on that gun. Is it possible for them to run out of ammo? Yes, but I don't think they would have, because there wasn't enough really flying around there to expend it, I don't think. I'm not sure. So right here, Lumber gets a solid pass with the gun on that Gazelle, and I fire an R60 right at the same time. This boy got deleted so hard, he ceased to exist, and I actually splashed Lumber with some of the shrapnel. Unfortunately for me, right here, Lumber says he's firing flare, and I hit every button except my flares. Like, I fumbled everything on the HOTAS and missed my flares. So, that was the end of me. They could have been spraying at Alpine, yeah, that is true. Looks like both Gazelles ended up going down from that, though. And then, Lumber headed back to refuel and rearm while I had to fly all the way back out from Mycot. I think he actually respawned as well. Oh no, that's right. I switched to fly the Su-25 because I wanted to do some ground attack stuff with that. And I flew all the way out. I was going to try and mess up Kutaisi because that's where these guys were flying from. So I flew all the way out as they went and captured Coboletti. All the way out. And here we go. I'm trying to figure out how to use the bombs here. I couldn't get them to come off. So, failed bombing pass there. I start coming in to have another attempt. There's an A-10 actually spawned down there. Unfortunately for me, Mithril has woken up. I don't know where the fuck he came from. Oh, he came from a fight over there with Mindful Crane, who was trying to kill the AWACS. So right here, Mithril turns in behind me. I was oblivious at this point, I didn't realize he was there. So I drop some bombs, I get hit by his missile. I think I actually caught myself with some blast off my own bombs as well. And then he makes a gun pass, and he misses me, and in me trying to force the overshoot, Mithril reverses straight into me. It was an accident, it happens, but we both die in that. So I go back to the MiG-29, Lumber comes back in as well, and off we go. Out to Sochi, then back down the coast. Start spreading out here because we're expecting some combat around Sukumi. And see, going for the deck there because the look-down capability of the MiG-29's radar isn't fantastic. And I wanted to be down fairly low to avoid getting picked up by their AWACS as well. Now we got Mithril over here trying to work over some of our ground units. I was struggling to pick him up because obviously the mountain was blocking my radar. I saw him here. Got a quick missile off in the head-on merge. It hit him. He's still flying. And this is what I mean. Mithril was tanking so many R60s. I go up and over the top. He doesn't see... Wait. No, he does see me. He takes a shot at me. I defeat it. He then defeats mine. I was too close. He goes for Lumber instead and gets him. And then he gets got by Estrella. One of my habits in the MiG-29, one of my bad habits, is if I get in close to somebody, I start panicking and pulling on the stick like I'm in a 21 or a Mirage, and it does not do you any favors in the 29. So off I go, now flying alone since Lumber had to fly all the way back out. Silent Gun is our next suspecting victim. Almost went Kiwi for a second there. Jesus Christ, what's wrong with me? Unsuspecting. Go for some fish and chips. He actually manages to flare off both of those. The first one was kind of an awkward angle. Actually, the second should have made that turn. They were just going for flares. Like, he was panic flaring like crazy, and it was actually working. So at this point, I decide, you know what? Fuck flare, or fuck missiles, fuck flares. We're gonna go for the gun. And sure enough, the gun is what clenches it. Finished him off easily. The 29's gun sight is just, oh. If you've got somebody locked up, if you haven't got a target locked, the gun funnel's kind of shit because there's no bore sight reference. So you have to use the actual funnel. You can't just take a snapshot off a bore sight cross like you can with, say, the Mirage or something. But the actual radar gun sight on that aircraft is fucking phenomenal. It's every bit as good as the Tomcats. Where it says the bullets will go, the bullets will go. Just put the crosshair circle on the target contact circle. Done. Problem solved. It's a really fantastically accurate gun as well. Like, there's not really any spread to it at all. Things like a fucking laser. So here we go. We've got an A10 coming now. Quite high up. I get a head-on hit. I think that actually fused behind his tail. So he's taken some damage, but he's still flying. I come in to re-engage, but right as he gets a Mark 82 off, he gets caught in a crossfire by two of our Shilkas and deleted. And then my R60 finishes him off. He was already missing a wing by the time that missile hit him, so he was well and truly dead. Kind of dislike the precision at times. I prefer the spray and pray of F-Series guns. It can be nice to have that. Like, some of the time in the Mirage, I would want to have a spray, and I just couldn't do it. Whereas the Hornet, like, especially in a head-on merge, having the massive cone of fire of the F-18 can be a real benefit, because you might not have a good chance at getting a precision shot. But if you just, like, haul on the trigger, you will hit them with at least one round. And one 20mm round will, you know, more often than not do something unpleasant to them. It might not kill them, but it might break something important. More often than not for me in the Mirage, it was the radar, or I'd end up with one wing. Really, really draggy. Why not CBUs? I don't know if they're restricted or not. Presumably they wouldn't be if I was using KMGUs. Anyway, back in we come for fuel and sticks. We've actually got... See, these guys were making a solid attempt to fuck up the airfield. We've actually got Joe in his F5, but he gets drawn away by the MiG-15. So he could have actually threatened me on the airfield there. This is, I spotted a pair of contrails turning into each other. These were friendlies that didn't know they were friendlies. So right here, I managed to acquire Joe, because he's flying relatively high, and, you know, pulse Doppler radar and all that. He turns away from me in the merge. I'm already expecting a missile, so I'm flaring. I get my own R60 off, and blap. He is dead as fuck. We're now in on Mithril. Head-on merge. My R60 goes for his flares. We're now in close. Lumber's coming in as well now. My second R60 also goes for a flare. And now we end up in a very slow, close-in scissors, which is not my strength in the MiG-29. Lumber thankfully saves the day and pops Mithril right above my canopy, finishes him off with the gun, and then we are reunited. We've now got Reaper coming in. Lumber goes in for the shot, lands the hit, and gets the kill. At this point, we're already getting kind of low on fuel. We start heading out towards Coboletti on the assumption that there might be something coming from that direction. But as you can see there, Lumber just fucking yeets it off to head back to Sakumi for fuel. That maneuver, from flying on my wing to the top of this arc, that cost him 500 kilos of fuel. Just MiG-29 things. Curiously enough, 21 there just... Oh, he disconnected. That's what happened there. I was going to say he just ceased to exist, but he disconnected. So, both of us head back. Refuel and rearm. They are flying from Kataisi at this point. Most of them are flying from Kataisi. So, that's why later on I got the idea of going and messing with their runway over there. So we end up head on with Basher. He's nice and high up and immediately just gets zapped by an R60. That's why you don't fly high up in the Cold War server. If I was in a MiG-21, the outcome would have been the same. It's just that would have been an R3R instead. You can see that A10 is lobbing... Hold up. What? 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 There are two Bashers, apparently. What the fuck? Okay, so Basher number 1 gets zapped in the head-on. Basher number 2 is busy lobbing Mavericks at the units down at the FARP. So Senaki has been cleared, but I don't think it's been captured yet. I don't know. I think it was still blue, but we cleared all the units there. Right around now, I spot Basher. Lumber breaks off for a minute and kind of kicks out towards Senaki. He goes for a really long head on aim 9. I'm just throttled back and flaring at this point because I expect that. R60 in the head-on, misses him. So I go up and over. Drop an R60 from the top of my arc. It doesn't quite have the moxie to make that turn. And he also flared, which probably didn't help. So I go, you know what, fuck it. Universal problem solver. And he reversed, right here. This is where he really fucked up. If he'd sustained a left-hand turn, he would have had a chance at beating me. Why would you reverse across the nose of a MiG-29? I just sawed his wing right there. Like, I don't understand why people reverse across your nose like that at close range. It's suicide. It's suicide. There's nothing else for it. If he... Like, for him to survive that, either my gun would have to not fire, I'd have to totally potato my aim, or he would have to get skinny between rounds. Like, just don't do it. If someone is behind you pulling lead for a shot, do not reverse. Double down into your turn, or roll, do something, do anything that doesn't put you across their nose. Like, it's the most simple shit, and I see people still do it all the time. Can't go in the same way for more than 5 seconds in a dogfight, gotta be tactical. Like, no joke, 9 times out of 10, when I'm in a dogfight with an F5 and I kill them with the gun, or with an R60, that's why. Because they've actually been able to kind of rate me in a sustained turn, in a rate fight. And then they decide to reverse out of it. It's like, you just gave me a second wind. Like, what the fuck are you doing? If you are in a rate fight with an aircraft, the whole point of it is that you are, you know, you're rating him because you have the better turn rate. The MiG-21 has a, you know, it can sustain the radius, but it doesn't have the rate. Whereas the F5, if he just stayed in it, or especially an A10 against the MiG-29, dude, just rate it. It cannot fucking turn with you. But no, as soon as you get into a scissors, you start giving him options. Like, I don't get it. I don't get people. And every time I've killed an A10 in a gunfight with the MiG-21, it's been because they tried to force the scissors by reversing across my nose. At which point, you've seen me in the MiG-21, I just massage the air brake, pull the nose up, and dump all my speed and sit behind them. And they can't get rid of me. Like, you know, it might get a bit spicy, I might cross their nose once or twice in the scissors, but all I have to do is just roll out and force them to miss. If you absolutely, positively must cross someone's nose, and you have no other option but to do it, at least jink. You know, throw in an uncoordinated roll or something. Do something other than just fly level across their nose. Don't give them a beautiful, like, three-quarter planform to shoot at. That's how you lose a wing, or get pilot sniped. So anyway, off I go towards Kutaisi at this point. I think I picked up Scully here. You can see that they're all flying from there. Bash is there, Joe's there. Dean and Dub are both there. If I'd realised they were there, I would have gone and fucking strafed them. But here we go. Okay, so I don't quite get Scully yet, but we got Mithril. Picked him up. Right away I'm flaring because I'm expecting a head-on aim-9. Cutting the throttle to reduce my heat signature. Head-on R60, it hits Mithril. It does hit him. But again, it fails to kill him. And we are in a second head-on. That was way too close. That's an R73 shot. That's not an R60 shot. The R60 won't do it. An R73 would have killed him. That's the other problem. In the MiG-29, I'm used to having the R73, so I kind of overestimate the R60 a lot. Just because when you see that HUD with all those cues, your brain goes into R73 mode. Anyway, somehow he doesn't murder me. I end up in another head-on, land another R60 on him. He's still flying. He has taken 2 R60s to the face. He's still flying. And at this point, I'm trying to drop in for either another R60 or guns. And right about here, he loses it. I think he may have lost his engines. Right there. I think he lost his engines. And he just augers it in. You have the launch zones, but they're not 100% accurate, though. Like, this is the thing. Partly because you're so close with an R60 as well. They're very close together, so it can be hard to see them and tell where they are depending on what your HUD's scaled at. And as well as that, they're not 100% accurate. So you'll have the aircraft tell you, like, its weapons computer will tell you you're within parameter for a shot, and you actually aren't. Like, it's just one of those things. You've got to rely not just on the computer, but also you've got to eyeball it. You've got to have the past experience of knowing what the missile can and can't do. And I will take a lot of kind of Hail Mary shots with the R60 because I know what the R60 is capable of. It just isn't always capable of that. But he should have been dead there. Like, the first R60 probably should have taken him out of that fight. Now, Scully here takes a long shot, but the MiG-29 is just too fast for this boy. At this point, I know that I'm being chased home, so I just open the throttles out. In burner, 1.2 on the deck, there's no way an F5's catching me, especially when he's busy lagging all over the place. Sure enough, he gives up, goes for the 15 instead. I'm kind of on fumes at this point. Curious to see how this fight develops, actually. Basher's coming back in with his A10. Again, firing off Mavericks. Man, this fight's taken forever. He's doing pretty well to hold his own against a MiG-15 in a turn fight. Oh, there we go. There's the kill. Nicely done, MiG-15. So we should see, there we go, that's me coming off the ground again. Lumber joining up. He's just got back from my cop. And immediately we've got a contact. Mithril coming right at me. So in we go. Again, flares and off the throttle into the merge, just in case he gets a shot off head-on. Neither of us actually take the head-on shot this time. And we both kind of turn away from each other. I go back up. I'm looking to drop on him. I can still see him right through this. He actually brings his nose up. So what a lot of people do is they'll stay level, and that's how you drop on them. This is like a classic Ross merge right here is what I do. As soon as I'm past someone, straight up. Like as hard as I can go, straight into the vertical. And I'm looking for a descending shot right here. And if he had stayed level like most people do, he would have been dead. But he climbed into me. It did still hit him. It did still hit him. But Mithril is not stupid. He knows what's happening and he climbs into it. And that also forces me to think about defending in case he gets a shot off. Lumber's calling out. He's coming up into you, defend, defend. So you can see me punching out flares, cutting the throttle to idle, and back around I go. Lumber comes in and cleans up. I'm gonna have to do some testing, I think. From the sounds of it, the patch has changed a whole lot of shit. I'll go through this TacView maybe, and then we'll do a bit of mucking around. I do need to eat though, I'm pretty hungry, so I might take a bit of a break, just put the stream on hold for, say, 15-20 minutes, something like that, while I have some food. It's a bit early for lunch, but I didn't eat breakfast. And then we might do a little bit of DCS. I won't be streaming as long today as I was yesterday, probably. So at this point, Lumber has swooped in behind the 15 and given him a good fright. So there we go. Aussie fighters up. This was when I tried to go for their AWACS. I wasn't sure if it was invulnerable or not. So they still have both AWACS. Now I'm curious, what happened to ours? What the fuck happened to ours? So they're both back there. Here's me, I get an R60 into him, I go for guns. I see at this point he's not dead, so I figure he's invulnerable. Lumber's rejoining on me here, and oh look, there's an F5 coming. It's Aussie fighter. There's like a billion other games as well. You've talked about those games. Am I going to need to hold the metaphorical threats over your head? Probably. I can't help it, dude. DCS is fucking addictive, alright? That was a nicely timed jink. Right there. That was fucking beautiful work from him. Just rolls right around it. And the second misses. So that's 2 R60s from me already. There's one from Lumber. There's 2 from Lumber. He's dodged 4. He's now got a shot off at me, which I narrowly avoid. There's number 5. He flares it off. 6 from Lumber. Over-G's it. 7 from me is what finally kills him. It took 7 R60s to kill that guy. He is actually one of the ones who complained that the MiG-29s in the mission. He said, oh, you know, that makes this server suck a bit. I don't know why, because he had 2 MiG-29s on the ropes in an F5. Like, he was flying really well. If he just coordinated a little better with his teammates, he could have killed us. Or if he'd gone for us one at a time instead of flying into 2 MiG-29s mutually supporting each other on comms, he could have had that. Like, this is the thing. Blue team were complaining about the MiG-29, but they had good pilots. If they just coordinated, or not flown at 2 of us while we were together supporting each other, they could have killed us. And, you know, they could have hit us while we were on the ground rearming and refueling, because you spend so much time refueling and rearming in the MiG-29, and you're totally vulnerable. JDF going to be down all night? I don't know, Pixie. I have no idea. So, back to base we go. land from opposite ends of the runway, because why not? It actually looks like the MiG-15s were harassing them at Kutaisi. That might be why they stopped flying from there. There wasn't really any air defense left there, I think. Just a couple of Vulcans and Chaparrals, and I don't think the Chaparrals had any ammo. I don't know, like, or they were set to passive. I might have to bring this up with Alpin, because none of the airfield defenses at Sanaki or Kutaisi seem to do anything, and the Pivads at Coboletti didn't fire at me until I was parked on the fucking apron. Hey, Saber. JDF's down at the moment. If it doesn't come back up today, we might have to take a rain check on the next time the MiG-15's up for free. But, I mean, I would like to fight you in it, just to see how you go with it. But if not, we'll do, like, some fights against Pixie and his, I guess. I do want to see what it's like to fight a Saber against it. Unfortunately, the patch has conspired to ruin our plans. I can't even get on Cold War today because it's not up. Hence the TacView. Oh, that was an embarrassing overshoot there. Oh no, oh no. I know I just said this guy flew well, but what he's doing right now is not flying well. Getting 2 MiG-15s aggro on you in an F5 is not a good idea. Mind you, he is avoiding getting hit pretty well. If he reverses this on them, I'll be very impressed, but I don't think he will. The wingman's lost sight of him. If Nopalius hadn't lost SA, they could have killed Aussie Fighter there, the two of them together. But he's actually giving Paradox a run for his money. Yeah, this guy's all right. He's doing well. Got him to lose interest. Didn't really have the angle there for a shot, but he did try. Oh, there's some hits. There's some hits, but again, he's got both MiGs on him now. He's clowning them pretty well, I'll say that much. And if his base had any active airfield defense, he would have killed them. Oh, looks like he's out of fuel or ammo, and he's tried to do a landing under duress, a combat landing. And he's just lost it at the last moment there. Got hit by 3 23mm rounds, so yeah. And then lost it. He's skidding there. He's taken a bunch more hits. 28 hits off the 23s. Yeah, he's dead. Solid effort, though. Yeah, they're still spawning in at Kutaisi, which is interesting. Meanwhile, here I am. You can see, curiously enough, there is a Vigan trying to destroy our ships after our ships have already made it to Sochi several hours beforehand. And this is Rinkerbuck. This is the guy that was talking in all chat without realizing it. And he was conning. I spotted him because of the con. At this point, our AWACS was no longer telling us anything. For some reason, one of them had... Oh, that's why. That's why. There should be 2 AWACS for red, but there was only one. Let me just, bear with me here. I'm trying to work this out. Where did the other one go? I don't understand. Oh, yep, here we go. This is why we had no AWACS. He landed, and he didn't take back off. That's what happened. That's exactly what happened. So that explains a few things. I don't know if they're... I assume they're supposed to refuel and take back off. I don't know why he didn't. Okay, so this, I rewound that a long way. Yeah, there's me attempting to kill the AWACS. There's Aussie Fighter getting very lucky. Rearming. There we go, now I'm back out. So here's Rinkerbuck, about to get absolutely demolished. The poor boy had no clue I was even there. I'm surprised he didn't, because he should have got an AWACS call out as soon as I started popping up to engage him. Spent half the day working on my car. Turns out I need new air intake hose, but I've been on a roll, just taking a break, and I'm going to deep clean the interior, which sorely needs it. Well, at least you're getting something constructive done during these trying times, which is more than I can say for myself. I've got so many things that would be perfect to do right now, and instead I'm just sitting here playing DCS, or as it is now, going through TacView. Oh, there's the kill. He had no clue I was there. Like, I don't think he realized until right about there. And it was too late. So here I decide to tool around a bit, see if I can find anybody. Right here I finally pick up this guy. Cracker Chicken. Again, into the merge, throttle back, flares out just in case. The MiG-29 puts out such a massive heat signature, you don't want to be in full throttle. You really don't. You really, really don't. So, there we go, head on R60. Easily hits him, he flies right into it, but he's still airborne. So I come back around, dump another R60 in, and it manages to just make the turn into him. Back to base now for more fuel. And now we've got another engagement. So at Doom up here, I think this is one of the other guys that was bitching about the MiG-29. In fact, I'm pretty sure he switched to red after I killed him. What aircraft does Blue get in Cold War? It depends on the mission. Generally speaking, they have F-86, F-5E, Viggen, C-101, and then on two of the missions, this one which is Battle over Sukhumi Unleashed, and then I think one of the other ones, like the Abu Dhabi Unleashed or something, they get the option of 2 Mirages, but to unlock the Mirages they have to complete a mission objective, which they didn't here, which is why I'm in a MiG-29, and they're limited to magics. Now, conversely, Red have to achieve their mission objectives, which in this mission was to defend our shipping. And if we do that, we get a pair of MiG-29As with R60s only, hence why I'm flying it. And they spawn way out back, like, as far from the action as possible. So they didn't have Mirages here because they didn't kill any of our ships. They didn't complete any objectives. There we go with the head on R60. He's still flying. This was the guy that I ended up dumping into a tree, I think. I just avoided a missile there. See, I kind of risked it by turning across his front, but he was out of plane slightly, so he couldn't have really got the shot. If you're out of plane, you can afford to cross someone's nose, but if you're in plane with them, don't. Just don't. So I can see his nose isn't actually on me and he can't get it on me, so I'm happy crossing in front of him. If I could see his nose pointed at me, I wouldn't have dared do that. Now you can see me trying to, like, I'm pulling my own nose up here to use the wing as an air brake to try and get behind him. I'm at very low speed, I'm basically dancing on the rudder pedals at this point to try and stay in the air and get my nose around. The MiG-29 is very, very controls intensive in close combat. It's like the opposite of the Su-27. I'm just trying to avoid crossing his nose and get behind him here. I'm trying to force him out in front of me, which I almost do there. I almost get a burst with the guns, but it's just slightly off angle, like offline, because he wasn't quite in plane with me. And I dumped him into a tree right there. Receiving Mirage 4 years before they were introduced, I know. Well, this is 2 years before the MiG-29 was introduced. The 29 came into service 1982. I think its first flight was 77. Came into service 82. And it wasn't really in widespread service until about 84, 85-ish. So I've actually managed to give Rinkerbuck the slip here, or more like he's given me the slip. I didn't notice him there. I end up crossing Paradox in the 21 here, and into a head-on with Aussie Fighter. I think this is where he became aware he was fighting a MiG-29 and started complaining in chat. Like I said when I was actually streaming this, I don't blame them, but they're wrong. Like, the MiG-29 is not some magical death totem. When it's limited to R60Ms, it's basically... Okay, so it has better actual cockpit visibility than the MiG-21. It has better acceleration and it's faster, but it has shorter endurance because it chews through fuel so quickly, and it has a better radar. The radar is the big ticket item here, and because we didn't have an AWACS, it was kind of balanced out. They had an AWACS, I didn't. I had to purely search them out with my radar, which is not suited for this. The radar in the MiG-29 and the Su-27 is not designed for independent search. It's designed to have you vectored onto a target and then you use the radar to pick it up. So, like, really this was a lot more equal than they thought it was. They were just making bad choices. Like, here he manages to trash my first R60, but he doesn't see the second coming, I guess. And it hits him. Then up we go, into the vertical. I mean, he's in the vertical against the MiG-29. What do you think's gonna happen? He gets zapped by a second. Alpin said he's not putting the F-14 on the server. Now, when the F-14A comes, maybe that'll change, maybe, once the MiG-23 is out. But the F-14B would trash everything on the server. Like, the F-14B has such raw power, plus a radar that's better than everything else, including the FC3 stuff that we have. Maybe not near the ground, but certainly at any kind of altitude, I take the F-14's radar over the MiG-29's. The F-14's radar has really good close combat modes, so again, it's kind of irrelevant if the 29's limited to close range missiles. He can't use, like, he can't do anything to you from long range. An F-14B, even if it was restricted to AIM-9s only, would wipe the floor with a lot of stuff in this server. It would probably be about even with the MiG-29. Maybe. But there's a lot of, like, mission balance to be done when the 23 comes out, because you're going to run into the same problems people have with the MiG-19. The cockpit visibility is worse than the MiG-21, but the radar is not equivalent to the 29, but very close. The MiG-23's radar is essentially an earlier version of what we have in the MiG-29. So I think a lot of people are going to get a rude awakening when it comes out. It's going to be extremely capable in this server. It's probably going to be more capable at longer range, just because once you get in close, you have the bad visibility to contend with, and you don't really have the close combat modes that were introduced with the MLD, and that the MiG-29 has. Sorely need the F4? Absolutely. The Crusader will help make things more interesting and might help balance out things like the MiG-29, but the F4 is going to be the real big ticket item. And it'll be interesting to fight, because the F4 is not a direct balance against the MiG-21. The MiG-21's, more agile, it's a smaller target, and arguably has the better adapted radar for the kinds of fights you're going to be in. But the F4 is faster, most likely has better vertical performance in most respects. I don't know, the 21 BIS with the yeet switch might actually be better in the vertical, at least at low altitude where the secondary burn is effective. So it'll be interesting to see. I kind of wish we were getting an F4B, like one of the old Navy hardwing F4s, partly because lack of gun means better nose authority, and partly because I want to see people just kill themselves in it, because it'd be hilarious. If they can't fly a fucking F-14 or a MiG-21 without bitching that it's too hard and the flight model must be wrong, imagine them in a hardwing F4. An aircraft which was so known for lethal departures from adverse yaw that they had to run dedicated D-SLAT courses for pilots coming off active duty F4Es back to Air National Guard F4Bs and Cs. Like, it would be beautiful. Blue's already balanced, I would argue. Blue's already pretty balanced. The F5 doesn't have enough missiles to contend toe-to-toe with the MiG-21, but it has the better guns, like for gunfighting. The F5 has better visibility from the cockpit. The radar's okay. I'd still say the 21 has a better radar, but the F5's is... Actually, the 21 has a better radar for actually, you know, longer range engagements and finding people, but the F5 has the better radar for close-in work. I will say that much. So I'd say it's actually kind of even, honestly. It's the F4E. Assuming that they just continue what Belsimtech already had, it's the F4E. Like, Belsimtech had the cockpit model done, they had the exterior model and texture done, like, they had quite a lot of work done on it, which is all the more reason I'm pissed off we don't have it. They had to actively shelve a project that was already further along than the Viper was to do the Viper. A British Phantom would actually be really good. I'd totally be down with that. Okay, so that's the Vigan getting popped. That's Firefin. Okay. At this point, I'm out of fuel, so we RTB. I think Lumber had already hopped off at this point. Aha! Flipper! This is what happened. Flipper came and fucked my shit up. So, while Shonoff was taxiing, Flipper strafed him. This guy then respawned in the other MiG-29 slot with me, because he was pretty pissed off about this, I think. He was a bit upsetty. Now, I looked for a window of opportunity where the F5 was not in sight to quickly... Like, I was rearming and refueling. I think I left with 60-something% fuel load here, because I was in such a rush to get off the ground and avoid getting strafed. Unfortunately, the timing wasn't ideal. He went in for another strafe on the 21. Got chased off by our Shilkers. And right here, I made a mistake because I should have extended away. He's not moving very quickly. I'm a MiG-29. If I'd just gone in burner straight off the runway's heading and built some distance, I could have murdered him. I could have just turned back in and killed him once I got some separation, but I didn't. I did the big stupid and flew right into that missile and died. So that was my first death since the Gazelle incident, the Mistral incident. I'll try it, Ink. I will try it. I'm gonna probably have some lunch first, and then I'll give it a quick go. Finally did the 9X emote. It's a tier 2 one though. Next tier 1 emote's gonna be the proportionality symbol in the HUD. Nice. I've still got a free emote slot I need to do something about. I was gonna make that the hey what are you doing emote, but like I don't know who the fuck I'm gonna get to do that, so I might just do something else instead. Might do a Mikoyan logo. Oh, that might actually... That might technically infringe on their IP, I don't know. If it's a Soviet-era one, it might not, because anything under the domain of the Soviet Union is now public domain. And I think RSK MiG might have a different logo than they used to. I'll have to find out. I'll have to figure that one out. But I do know anything that was under the Soviet Union is public domain, which is why I have the Soviet state quality mark as an emote. It's a better Twitch TV emote, but it's still an emote. Now they're all harassing Sakumi. Look at this. As soon as the MiG-29's dead, look at look at this. As soon as I'm gone, they have free reign of the map. Although people were starting to leave the server at this point. Oh, that's not what I want. That's what I want. So, this is the long flight back. This is where they try to intercept me. This is absolutely adorable. So, Doom comes in with the attempt, followed up by Cool Breeze. Of course, I noticed this. Drop a missile on Doom's face in the dive. Somehow broke carriers even more. Amazing. Fucking amazing. The golden paddle switch. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. Now a bunch of active servers are having to decide to remove carriers this patch or hold back on updating. Excellent. Well, Cold War doesn't have carriers in any mission, so that won't be a concern for me at least. Although the MiG-21, from the sounds of things, might be so dominant that they decide not to update anyway. Make a Tom Cruise themed stream just for Pom. Oh, that's mean. That's rude. So here we go. He's actually behind me here. He's actually behind me because I couldn't see him. He takes a shot there, gets decoyed off by a flare. Takes another shot again, decoyed off by a flare. Thank fuck. So he's now down to guns. He could have killed me there. I didn't see him when he did that. Right around here, I think, is where I actually regained him. And you can see me start trying to force the scissors here. He almost hit... He did actually hit me. I think he clipped me with a round. It just didn't register on TacView. So, like I said, reversing across someone's nose is exceedingly dangerous. You can see me here trying to force an overshoot. I'm trying to dump as much speed as possible and wobble around a bit just to make his gun solutions a bit awkward. I'm also trying to keep eye on him as he cuts under me, like from one side of the aircraft to the other. Rolled across, and by now I've forced him out in front. I've just got to keep him there. And right there, there's the kill. Sawed his wing right off. I was pretty happy with that gunshot, actually. So that was their cute little attempt to intercept me before I could get to the front. Didn't work. On the other hand, it meant that I did have to land for fuel. And for missiles. Is MiG even a company anymore? Yeah, RSK MiG, Russian Aircraft Corporation MiG. It's a state-owned company. Oh, public-private, yeah. Close enough. So off we go. Flipper is off trying to fuck with our units in the mountains, it looks like. Hey, Dub! Thanks for the raid, man. Welcome to the stream, guys. We are going through yesterday's TacView, since most of my usual haunts are down at the moment, thanks to the patch. So I'm going to go through the rest of this TacView, probably take a bit of a break for like 20 minutes or so, have something to eat, and then I might do a little bit of DCS just to test out a few things after the patch, since I've heard some interesting details. Saber's jealous of Manlet chats. Manlet and Chad don't belong in the same sentence, I'm pretty sure. It was Dub, Pom. Oh, can only read chat, right. Never mind. So here we go. I actually didn't see... Oh, I remember. I was trying to bomb Kataisi here. So I was oblivious to this guy. This is Firefin. I was oblivious to him. This is a good intercept from him. I thought that I was safe because I thought that all the F5s were either going to be in front of me or tooling around way back here. But he managed to creep up right under me and belly stab me. And because I wasn't moving as fast as I perhaps should have been and could have been, right there, bang. Although, curiously, he did fire his gun. He must have forgot the F5 trigger is separate for missiles. So that was me getting blapped by him right there. They are still flying from Kataisi. So this is the one where I decided I'd fly up in the fucking stratosphere all the way there. Way above the cons. And it didn't work out as well as planned. It kind of sort of worked. So these two almost looked like he was trying to kill him there. These two, Flipper and Firefin, were trying to intercept me again. Flipper actually came up this time. And at this point, I've started my descent for Kataisi. I'm starting to, like, I've throttled all the way back to idle here to save fuel, which is probably the reason that missile missed me. It was, oh my god, it was so close. "67 feet. It passed within 67 feet of me and did not detonate. I bet he was pretty angry about that. I would be. So here we go, we're in the descent, we're racing his missile down to the ground. And right here is where your boy discovered the blast radius of a concrete busting 500 kilo bomb. So there go two of them right there. And I killed myself. One of them hit the ground and that was it. I think they're parachute retarded maybe. Or something, because those two... Yeah, like, those two separated out to either side. One landed kind of on the runway and one landed beside it. And these two just went straight under and fucking blasted the crap out of it, me, and everything else in the same postcode. I'm kind of disappointed Flipper wasn't closer behind me because it could have killed him too if he was. Thermo made a clip of that if you guys want to see the moment I learnt about that, that weapon. Here we go, and this is my last life. Yeah, that happens sometimes, Pom. Oh, no, you mean like, yeah, no, never mind, I get what you mean. I've had sometimes where I've, like, raided or hosted people, and somehow my stream has stayed up. Like, people have been able to come in and been like, hey, you're still live, by the way. Like, what? It's a bit odd. Sometimes the raid system seems to glitch out. So here we go. This was my final flight. This is where I took a pair of S-24s, not realizing the S-24 kind of sucks at runway cratering, and decided I was going to fly all the way from my cop down to Kobuleti, since I now had a fairly good idea that they weren't going to fly from Kataisi, since I just ruined the runway, and that was the next closest base. I figured I'd go crater that as well. So down we go. We've got Flipper and Firefin already trying to intercept. They're looking for me here. I was sitting around minding my own business. This is a highlight from the stream because it was pretty ridiculous. My spidey sense went off exactly as Flipper fired a missile at me. Like, exactly as he fired a missile at me. I was like, I wonder if someone's behind me. And I saw it. I was just like, yikes! Ripped on the stick and narrowly juked it. It was a bit silly. And then he somehow ended up in the ground. So right here, as I'm just casually talking to chat and thinking, oh, I'm surprised I haven't seen them yet. Maybe they're still on the ground. Right here, I look behind me over my shoulder. I see a black speck and think, is that a smoke trail? And then I see a white speck and go, oh, fuck. Like, look at the timing on that. How long do I have to react? 2-3 seconds? And just flare it off, immediately roll over, cut the throttle. And then... Oh, I know why he went into the floor, guys. I know why he went into the floor. I G-locked him. He tried to stay on my tail and he G-locked himself. Oh, man. There we go, 10.5 G. And then he just goes straight down. Rest in peace, my dude. So, I didn't see that. I lost sight of him because I was fully zoomed in looking at the trail behind me. So I totally lost sight of him. I didn't know that he'd killed himself. And so I was looking for him here, like just looking all around me. And then by chance, as I turned back this way, I picked up Firefin on the radar in vertical scan. And I assumed that I had been chased by one F5 and that was Firefin, when in fact I was being chased by two. I'd already killed one by dumping him into the floor. And then I turn in on a Firefin here, get a pair of R60s off head-on. I was carrying 4 of them. Both of those miss. Into the head-on merge, he doesn't take a shot. And we end up a bit slow. That one misses because he flares it off. And I'm starting to think, shit, I'm going to have to go for the gun kill here. I've still got a pair of S24 rockets on me as well, weighing me down. Right here, though, I don't know if he just lost his speed and needed to regain it, or if he lost SA. But at this point, he just levels off, and it buys me just enough separation and enough time to get an R60 away. And that one doesn't fall for the flares, it goes straight for him. So the way is now clear to go to Coboletti. Flipper has respawned. So at this point I come in. Curiously, none of the air defense is shooting at me. Which is weird. There goes one S24. Second S24. Very disappointing results. The craters were tiny. And I'm just deciding whether I have enough fuel to get home or not when I realize there's something on the apron. It's Flipper. So I switch over to the air-to-ground gun. Come in, give him a nice warm hello. Fly right over a Chaparral and a Pivads, and neither of them shoot at me. Round I come, and I have very little fuel at this point, and people are disconnecting, so I figure, you know what, this'll do, we'll land here. So in I come, Flipper despawns, Firefin's... Oh no, that is Flipper. Firefin had already disconnected by this point. Flipper spawns back in, sees me land, and is just like, nah, fuck this shit, and disconnects. And that is the end of that. So that was a pretty eventful stream. That was like a 9.5, 10 hour stream I pulled by accident. Didn't mean to do it. Anyway, guys, I'm going to take a break because I need some lunch. I'm kind of wondering if I should just put the stream on hold for like 20 minutes, or if I should just, like, leave it until tomorrow. I think I might cut the stream, actually. So I'll have lunch, I'll test some stuff in DCS. I will be streaming again tomorrow. I'll be playing some Armor in the morning, and I'll stream after that because all the servers should be back up then. So we'll be back to the usual tomorrow, and then anything I find in my offline testing today, I can catch you up with then. Yeah, this was from last night. Yeah, unfortunately the replay ends before that happened, but yeah. So it wasn't until I parked next to Flipper's wreckage that the Vulcan decided to aggro on me. So I will see where I can send you guys. Bear with me for a minute here. That is actually a lie, that screen, so I should probably change that. I probably won't be back on today, but like I said, I will be streaming tomorrow, so we'll find out what wonderful things have been fucked up with the patch tomorrow. What have we got? Not that many people on, actually. I might send you guys over to Gatto, I think. Hit him back with the raid he got me with right as I ended my stream yesterday. He's doing some Huey stuff at the moment. If any of you aren't following Gatto already, which I kind of doubt, but if any of you aren't, you should. He does a lot of helicopter stuff. He's particularly good with the helicopters. It's something you generally won't see me do. I haven't flown any helicopters yet. They're scary, terrifying, powerful magic for arcane wizards. So, yeah. I'll send you guys over there now. Enjoy Gato, and I will catch you tomorrow, probably closer to the time I've been streaming for the past week or so, for a bit of armor and then some DCS. See you guys later. Have a great day.